Yeah, we stream sometimes, and it's like sometimes we'll go for 4 hours or like 3 hours. It gets draining though, like towards the end for sure. But yeah, I know what it's like to just be live for like 3-4 hours.
What kind of stuff are you streaming?
We mainly stream, like, me and my friends stream like music reviews. So people send us in songs and we react to it and like review it basically and like give them feedback. Yeah.
And it's all like live reactions.
It's all
right?
live, yeah. And people love the fact that it's live. So that's why we just started doing that on Twitch. We started on, I think, YouTube. We did a couple episodes on YouTube. And then we went over to Twitch, and then we've just been like growing that for the last year, and it's super fun. We do it like 2-3 times a week. So yeah.
People love those live reaction videos, man. Like,
yeah.
There was that guy that went viral because he was listening to Eminem for the first time and reacting to it. Have you heard about this guy?
No.
And he got so big that Eminem like sent him like reached out to him personally. And anyhow, like the whole idea of reaction videos is fascinating to me, because I think there's something in there that we as human beings are just like really tapping into. Like we're desperate for some sort of authenticity or just human like realness in there.
And it's not even just like reaction videos. I think that's why like streamers have become like, it's funny because there was an interview. I don't know if you know like a lot of the big streamers like Kai Cenat or like Aiden Ross.
Not really. No.
So like streaming's become huge, obviously, on Twitch and YouTube. Like a lot of these guys are becoming like more popular than rappers and stuff, and like rappers are paying them to be like to come on their stream and like do stuff with them and whatever. And it's just, I think you're right, like that authenticity just of seeing someone in their natural like state live. Like a lot of them obviously that like it's like a persona, like they play it up for the camera and stuff, but just the fact that it's live and like the live chat's in, everyone's reacting at the same time, there's definitely something about that like authenticity and that like human side that like pulls people in.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean and podcasts too, there's a lot of new like forms of media that we're consuming nowadays that are never would have existed 15-20 years ago, in the era of like the super produced, super edited, super strict and rigid, like PC, just like cold. Like nowadays, like anyone's a creator nowadays. Anyone can just be themselves, sit in front of a mic, sit in front of a Twitch and be awesome, and just people can like realize that there's all these gems hidden out there. I think it's just beautiful. I
think people are rewarded for that nowadays, and I think it's like, because I don't know if it ever was, but it's becoming cool again to be like yourself, to just like be you, like in front of the camera. And we spoke about that with streaming. I think it's the same in terms of like, if we look at music, like genres like hyperpop, where kids are just like making music in their bedroom and posting it up with a cover that they just took on their phone. And like that's like what's going crazy in like the hyperpop scene. And like I think that authenticity and just like these like nerdy little high school kids like Eric Doa and Glaive and everything, like just being themselves is like, I don't know, I mean, I guess it's just that authenticity again that's like pulling people in and being like, wow, like maybe it's because it's so relatable, like people can relate to that.
That's a really good word. The relatable, the album cover on the iPhone that's out of focus, with like your laundry in the background.
I did one like
the
that.
Bottle of Listerine in the bathroom when you're doing the selfie, just like
exactly.
Everybody's like, hey, he looks just like me.
Exactly.
It's pretty funny if you showed that to I don't know, our parents or grandparents, that just they wouldn't understand it at all, or even younger people like just a bit older than us, because all this shit's so new now that this really taking off. It's a brand new style. It's really cool to see though. So you Twitch stream.
Yep.
How often are you doing that?
Like 2-3 times a week. We normally do Tuesdays, Sundays, and Thursdays. Sometimes like I'll be busy or he'll be busy. It's my friend we've actually never met, which is crazy.
Oh wow.
Or like probably like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
He lives in Iowa. And one of my best friends, and Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays for like, we try to do like 2-3 hours.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so Twitch isn't just for games, eh? It's like streaming whatever, right?
I think it is known for games, and like a lot of people do play games in there, but I've never used it for games. We've always just done that, and I've done some solo streams where I've like produced or mixed or something.
Yeah. Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, but mostly the feedback streams. Yeah.
Are you guys rocking SM7s or Yetis, or what kind of mics?
For that one, so I have 2 mics. I have like a vocal booth though. I don't know if you know I think I got it on Amazon or something. It's by like Snap Studio. It was like so it's like a setup vocal booth with like pipes, really? Polyester pipe, not polyester. I don't know what. I'm so bad with materials. I'm not a building man. I don't know what it is. Some pipes and shit and blankets and shit.
Okay.
And you set it all up and whatever. So it's super dope. So I got the booth. So I keep like I have a Neumann TLM 103 in there that I just leave in there.
Yeah.
And then for streaming, I use the my old mic, which was the Audio Technica AT 2035. Yeah. So I use that for streaming. Great. And like for streaming and stuff is good enough.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Who do we have last week? We had Charles on, and he's also rocking the Audio Technica, and we kind of bonded over that because it was his first mic and it was my first mic also. But it seems to a lot of people like that's very entry level getting into music, that one of those Audio Technica, either the 2020 or the 2035, but they're great.
Yeah, they work really great. And that was actually my second mic. The first one was a classic like Focusrite Scarlett Solo.
Sweet.
You know that bundle?
Yeah.
Just picked up that bundle.
Yeah, we all know
headphones, interface, mic, got the whole package for like $200.
Ready to go platinum, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's so cool. So, man, there's so much I want to get into today. Like I said, like I've been going down the rabbit hole of your social media, you know, going through your deep library of singles and EPs. The one thing that just strikes me right off the bat is how polished everything sounds, man. It's so well recorded. The mixing is insane. Your production, it's just all very, very high level. So I would love to, if we can, you know, you don't have to reveal all your secrets, but if you're down to get into that,
let's chat about it.
Shed some light onto it, because it is for me, like people who are mixers who can identify, and I have a handful of friends who are mixers that don't really produce, don't really do a bit of recording, but primarily, you know, just mixing. Yeah. Definitely suffer from mix envy, think that everyone's stuff sounds better than whatever I'm doing, you know what I mean? And I definitely had that experience listening to your music. I got very intimidated. So,
well, thank you. I guess it's a good compliment.
Oh, dude, it's insane. So, you're working on Ableton, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what I saw?
FL Studio.
Oh, it's FL.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, because I only saw like a glimpse of a video where I think showed your screen, but dope. So, is that TLM 103 your primary vocal mic for your like your music also then? Yeah.
So that's what I use. It's definitely, since I got that, and so I have that inside of the vocal booth, but I also have a Chaotica eyeball over the Neumann. So it's like the mic, the eyeball, another pop filter, and then the vocal booth. So it's like really like dead in there. Like
super dead.
No noise. One thing I found because I only got the Neumann, well, I guess, like a year ago. Probably like a year ago I got the mic. So everything before then was recorded on like the AT 2035, which you can hear a difference there. And also just like I had an eyeball, but just in like an open room, no vocal booth.
Yeah.
So since I got the vocal booth and the mic, which I got at the same time when I came back here in like a year ago, since I got those, it definitely improved the quality a lot. But I noticed when I got that mic, because it's so crispy compared to like my old mic, the Audio Technica. So I had to like adjust some things to like a usual preset that I would use, because like I'd have fresh air on there. I don't know if you know that plugin.
Yeah, I use that from time to time.
But it's like now I've noticed it's like without the Neumann, it's just too crispy. I just have to take it off and also just do like a little bit of like high end reduction, because it's like too much. But I mean, I don't really know if I have a secret. It's just like I have a good preset that I tweak obviously on a per song basis, and just the equipment that I have. But you're obviously not skipping any of the steps, which from what I can gather, I mean, that was another thing that struck me, was how in a handful of your songs, I mean, you know, I can tell you like to use reverbs, and you've got layered vocals, and you've got like the really wet you know, ad libs and ear candy, but there were a few moments
in some of your songs where there's just like that bone dry vocal, like dry as like Freddie Mercury dry, right up front, and you cannot achieve that sound recording in your living room, or with the fridge running in the background. Like you've got to have the eyeball, have the booth, have the whole thing.
100%. Yeah.
And I cannot stress that enough for people that are learning how to recording themselves at home. I would say like well over 50% of your sound is just getting your fucking vocal right first.
Yes.
Like and nail your recording first, right?
So this is like a big thing because I mix for clients. So I have like an engineering business, and that's like the main thing I tell a lot of them now is like actually diving into fixing their recording environment before they send me a song.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of them, they'll send me vocals that are just like recorded pretty trash, like in a really bad environment with a bad mic, some clipping, whatever. And then it's like, I can do what I can do to it, but like mixing is not magic. And that's like a line people need to remember. Like you cannot just take the worst vocal ever and make it sound like it was Drake in the studio. It's not magic. So like you really have to, the whole process has to be done properly, like you were saying. Like you can't skip a step. Everything has to be done correctly. So that's something I'm trying to focus on now with like a lot of my clients, to just give them more value above and beyond just a good mix, is like actually giving them the mix, and then I give them like notes, and I say like, this is what you should do for your recording environment. What type of mic do you have? Like, I want to find out a little bit about their like environment, and then what we can do to fix it.
That's so cool that you do that. I try and do that also. Absolutely. Like probe a little bit, find out like where they're recording, what, sometimes they get vocals that look like, where the waveform is like non-existent and the scooter outside driving along the road is as loud as the vocal. And I'll do like a little FaceTime video and be like, "Hey, show me your mic pre." And like, okay, well, you need more gain. So absolutely, like I try and go a few steps deeper for sure with my clients as well. It's important.
Yeah. So, and then I remember one of my clients, we did that, and then I gave her some revisions, and then she went and bought a chaotic eyeball and fixed her environment a little bit, and then the next song she sent me, like, the final product was way different. And I did the same mix.
Right.
Or not the same mix, but very similar mix, same techniques. But the outcome was way different, and that's obviously on her end, on the recording environment side of things. So it makes a big difference.
110%.
So just having the equipment, and then like a good preset, and just good baseline knowledge of what you want it to sound like. I think, because if you just go in blind, it's like, you kind of don't know what you're doing.
Are clients sending you reference songs of other artists that they like to help?
Sometimes I'll typically ask them like what they want out of the mix. A lot of them will just say like something vague, like just make it sound dope, make it clean. And it's like, okay.
Crispy vocals, bro.
Yeah. But especially for a lot of the rappers and like the hip hop guys, it's like same with singers, but the main focus is just like heavily compressed, crispy vocals for rap. So like that's what you tend to focus on in terms of like hip hop. But sometimes I get references and stuff, and then I match it up.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. So you're doing the mixing all in the box then?
All in the box?
Like, do you have some outboard gear? Like, are you doing it all in the computer then?
Yeah. Everything's just all in the computer. I've never had like any gear or anything. I'm super digital.
Nice. Well, it's working obviously. What kind of plugins do you like?
All the FabFilter stuff.
FabFilter standard.
Crazy about all the FabFilter stuff. What else do I like a lot? The Valhalla Vintage Verb for reverb is pretty much like the only one I use, to be honest, because it's just so dynamic. You can do so much with it.
Yeah, man.
Fresh Air when I need to. I like some Waves things too, like NS1. The Vocal Bender as well by Waves. I don't have Little Alta Boy. I want to get Little Alta Boy, but I use Vocal Bender by Waves for like form and shifting and pitch shifting.
I didn't know that was like an alternative. Cool.
Yeah. So I do that for like all my form and shifting and pitch shifting. Trying to think what else. Fruity Limiter for noise gate. Classic. That's pretty much it. And then delays, I use like stock Fruity delay as well. But yeah, I'm like heavily fab filtered. Like
nice.
60 to 80% always on my chain will be fab
You like
filter.
the Saturn as well?
Yeah, I use Saturn as well.
And,
Yeah. A little bit of saturation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's similar for me. I'm very big promoter of Fab Filter. I also have the Slate Everything bundle, which I am talking about constantly on the show. But if anyone out there is like looking for a bundle, like, you know, one of those yearly subscriptions just to get more plugins, I feel like I could get rid of everything and just mix with Slate. Like they have your 76s, your LA2As, your distressors, your SSL, Neve, API. I mean, like everything, the mimics of all the great analog gear and bus compressors. It's really comprehensive, and they're always adding new things as well. Saturation.
How much is that bundle? It's like a yearly subscription?
Yeah, I think it's $169 US. Super worth it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Slate stuff and you know, Waves and Fab Filter as well. And then on your mix bus, is that like I know Fruity Loops is famous for their soft clipper, but like anything else special on there that you're using?
No, like compressor, de-esser, EQ will be all like Fab Filter, Saturn as well. I use, I guess, for a little bit of like stereo widening, I use Ozone Imager too, which is just the free one. Yeah. So I just like, I turn the stereo wise knob on and then I just drag the width to like 20% just to widen it a little bit. Yeah, because
you can go too far and then it starts to break apart. And it's just like wrong. It's
especially on main vocals, it doesn't sound good. Sometimes if I'm doing like, you know, a lot of my music is like experimental, or like the vocals are really weird or like form and shifted and like reverbed. So then I'll like on those layers, sometimes I'll like just go crazy with the knobs and like drag that like stereo.
Yeah, do some sort of like make sound it like super shaping.
Crazy. Yeah. But for main vocals, I tend to leave it at like 20%. Yeah.
Dope. Yeah. So where did you learn how to do all this?
I think when I look back, like mostly from my old engineer. So like, oh, that was my wallet. I'll leave that there. So when I started making music, I probably started when I was like 15 was when I started. Or like when I got my first like Focusrite bundle, you know. And I had a friend, I guess, it was like a friend of a friend, and he was a mix engineer, and I didn't know what I was doing. So like I went to him and I was like, you mix my songs? I think I was paying him like $50 a song, $40 a song. But I was in South Africa at the time, so for me that was like a lot of money.
Okay.
And we would just sit on Discord and I'd just watch him mix. And like he used FL Studio as well. So at first I was actually in Ableton when I was just recording vocals. And I was doing kind of like rap kind of stuff. And then we would just sit on Discord and like I just watch him mix, and then I just ask him questions like, what did you just do there? Like, what is that thing you did? Like, what effect does that do? Like, what difference does that make to the mix? Like, why did you use that?
Nice.
Why are you going back and doing that? And I was just very fascinated in it, I guess. Like, I just had a big interest in it. So I have to attribute like a lot of that to him. So I think that's really where I learned to really mix. And then when I moved out here when I was 18, I went to college. I went to Douglas College for audio engineering.
Oh, right on.
What their music technology diploma program they have.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but honestly, I didn't really learn much more about like mixing there, to be honest. I think that's a good program, like if you're not sure of what direction you want to go in, because it's very comprehensive in terms of like covering all bases. Like they cover the live recording, they cover like audio editing, they cover the business side of things, they cover scoring, things like that. But I wasn't interested in like all of that, you know. Like I knew I wanted to mix, so and produce, but like there was so little of that in the course, and also it was only in Pro Tools and Logic, and I was already like 4 years into FL, you know. So like I didn't mind learning other softwares, but I would have preferred to just go deeper in the one that I was using.
Yeah, instead of kind of starting from scratch somewhere else.
Exactly, you know. So but I picked up a couple of things there, and I made some good friends and stuff, so it was good. But when I look back, I have to say that most of it is probably from my old engineer, and just like literally watching him do what he does and asking questions. Yeah.
So those mixes you were paying for were like that video session was him mixing the song that you'd paid for, and you got to attend it essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just watch him live, like mix my songs. Yeah.
Oh wow. So how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 21 now.
Okay, so 15. So you,
like 6 years ago.
Yeah, about 6 years.
Yeah.
So from there, you decided that you wanted to pursue engineering as well as mixing. Went to Douglas, and then where does the story pick up after that? Like to get you to where you are now.
It's been a journey. The last like 2 years have been crazy.
Yeah.
So I went to Douglas as soon as I moved like to Canada, and like even that process was difficult because it was height of COVID. So like traveling was insane. It was like I almost wasn't able to leave South Africa.
Yeah, Jesus.
So I actually got here late and I missed like the first couple of days of college. So I was already like stressed about that. And then like I moved by myself. So like my living situation, I got this like, I didn't see it before I moved obviously because I was in South Africa. And I had no idea what like the price of things here should be either, you know, because I had never lived here.
Yeah, right.
So I saw like a bedroom in like a 3-bedroom basement suite or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. And it was like really cheap. I won't say how much, but it was like now, you know, living here for a couple of years, I'm like, you'd see that and you'd be like red flag, you know. But at the time I was like 18. I had no idea. I only knew stuff in like South African currency, which is way cheaper. So I was like, okay, like this is kind of expensive, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I went into there and it was just the worst thing you could ever imagine. It was like, I was told there was like 3 people living down there. There was literally like 8 because it was like 3 conjoined units that just like had a passage like joining them.
Oh, bro.
And like I woke up one morning and some random dude was cooking like this huge fish in the kitchen. Like I woke up to this dude just like, and I was like, I am so out of here.
Oh,
like I'm
my nightmare. You just described my nightmare. Like I'm such a hermit. Like I can't have roommates. So to have 8 of them would just be beyond.
And I wasn't told that either. And it was just filthy. And so I think I stayed there for probably like 4 days. Like literally, I was like, I'm making another plan.
Yeah.
So I made another plan. Well, this was after I quarantined. I had to quarantine for 2 weeks in Kerrisdale, which we'll get back to this story later. And then this was in Burnaby, this basement suite that I was in. That was terrible. And then there for 4 days, and I was like, I have to make another plan. So I started looking like, I don't know where I was looking, maybe Facebook and somewhere else. And I found like a homestay thing, which is like, you familiar with what that is?
Not really.
So it's like, yeah, I wasn't before I came across it, but it's basically like if you're from another country and you move here, like, and you're young, I guess, like a family will like, or like 2 adult, like a couple, I guess, will like kind of take you in.
Of course. Yeah. No, I know people that have done that. I forgot that was called that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that with this couple in like on Main Street, like up on like kind of South Van.
Yep.
And I was there for 2 months. And then I was also just like got weird after a while because like she got super controlling with me, like leaving the house to go to college and stuff because she was very worried about COVID and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And that situation got like weird as well. And then after that, I was there for 2 months, which was also short. And then I made a friend at college, and then I moved in with him. We found a basement suite in Point Grey together. And then I was there. Yeah, lovely. And then I was there for like, I was in Point Grey probably for like 10 months. So then that was solid.
Yeah.
But that first little bit like of moving here was like just so chaotic.
It's a hell of a shocker.
Yeah, and like trying to go to college through all of that as well. And then I was at college. I was enjoying it, whatever. It was like a 2-year course. I didn't finish it. I did 1 year, and then like just after like the first year, like I was just like kind of fed up with not really feeling like I was learning anything. And I also started making like a decent amount of money from mixing, and I was like, I could just do mixing full time. Like I was making enough to where I was like, I could afford to just do it full time. So I made the decision to just leave college. So I did that, and then I also had like opportunity to go to LA, and I'd never been to LA, so I was like, I really want to take that. So I left college and I went traveling for like 2 or 3 months. Sweet. And I went to LA to do some music stuff, and then I went to Texas to see my aunt because I'd never visited her there, and then I went with her to Las Vegas, which is super cool. So, and then to South Africa to visit my family.
Okay.
And then I came back. So that was like a super cool trip, and that all happened like as soon as I left college. And I was just mixing, as I was everywhere.
just on your laptop and headphones kind of thing. Wow, nice.
Obviously, I'd been doing it for a while then, so I kind of knew what, even if it sounded a little weird on my headphones, I knew what it would sound like on monitors. So,
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
know your headphones really well.
Yeah, yeah.
What headphones are you mixing on?
Which ones are they? The Audio Technica AT-X50 or something like that.
Oh yeah, well, the same ones I have here. Where did I hide them?
Yes, yeah. Same ones. Yeah. So I use those.
Standard.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah, they are so
not
good,
expensive, but they're like the Yamaha NS10s of headphones.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, they're solid.
Sweet.
I got them straight after I had the Focusrite one, so heard a big difference. But yeah, that's where the story went. And then when I got back from traveling, I for a couple of months I moved in with my videographer. He's like my best friend. We moved in together with his girlfriend in Surrey because she worked out in Langley, so we moved out there. And then another huge twist. We were there for like. I was there for 3 weeks. They'd been there for a little bit because I was traveling, but they moved in early. And then when I got back, they were like decided they're moving back to Kamloops. So then I moved with them to Kamloops for like 8 months. And then I just came back to Vancouver in like the end of November now. So I've only been back for like 3 months.
The traveling man, hey?
Yeah. Wow. I never thought it was going to be like that, but it's just like the way it ended up. And so it's been a lot of crazy moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah.
Thank God you can mix on headphones.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
Or you'd be kind of stuck. I mean,
would be, yeah.
I know what it's like trying to find a space that you can learn, like learning a room or learning a space. I mean, that takes time. But if there are people out there that I've heard that, like yourself, that are gifted enough to mix on headphones and have it translate consistently. So,
I mean, yeah,
pretty cool.
Thanks, yeah. But I say now it's definitely better to have monitors. Like, I'm not recommending anyone do this. Like, don't think you can just travel and use headphones, because I think it might have affected the quality a bit. But yeah, if you know enough of what you're doing, you can kind of compensate for changes that you're hearing in the headphones, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend. Like, I wouldn't say it's the same as like having a proper setup.
No. Don't make that your plan A.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if it happens and you have to do it, that's okay.
It's okay.
But like, don't be like, this is the way to go.
Yeah. Evan Morgan, who was on a couple episodes ago, shared that he on a deadline had to mix a song on his honeymoon and had always has his headphones and his laptop with him and mixed a song in the hotel room on his honeymoon.
Oh, How did his partner feel about that?
I don't know. They're still together, so
it must have been okay.
I know what myself being a married man, like, those engineer wives, they're pretty good. They put up with a lot.
I guess I have to.
A lot of strange lifestyle choices and hours and just ambiguity and but it's good. It's all good, man. So how long did it take you to get to the point where you're like busy mixing, where you're like living off of that?
It happened so quick. Like, and that was also the weird thing. It was like because I remember I never had a job. I moved here. My mom was supporting me, and then I was making like extra money doing a little bit of like songwriting work. That's how I started making money off music. Was when I was 17, I started ghostwriting. And that's how I started making money. So I'd make like a little bit of extra money for like groceries and like everything above that. My mom was supporting me a little bit when I moved here. And then I had to get a summer job like to make money in June 2021, I guess. And then I hated that job. It was terrible. It was like in a warehouse and it was like in the bottom of Richmond. So it didn't have a car. So it took me like 2 hours to get there by bus. 2 hours back, so like almost 4 hours of traveling, and then just like real heavy work.
Yeah.
And I hated that, and I was like, I'm not doing this. So that's when I was like, I'm doing mixing. Like, I'm gonna make this happen. And so I started reaching out to clients, and I have like a strategy for that worked really well in the beginning. It doesn't work that well now, but it helped get like my business going. And the first month that I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like the first month, like from that day, I made like $800 the first month. So I was like, okay, like $800 first month, like I can definitely turn this into something. And then it just took like a couple months from there, and then I was making like decent money every month, and I was like, okay.
What were you doing?
For like client outreach?
Yeah, like reaching out to people.
Yeah, so I was, you know, DistroKid?
Sure.
Yeah. They have like a partner platform called Slaps.
Okay.
And I would just like reach out to people on there. There's like I think in the beginning I wasn't doing this. There was just like people just post their music on there.
Yeah.
And I just directly message them and be like, love this song.
Yeah.
I think this could be better. This could be better. Have you ever worked with an engineer before? Let me know if you're interested in chatting about this. Something like that.
Sure. Okay.
And for some reason that really worked. As opposed to other platforms. And I think it's just because it's strictly for musicians. So it's like everyone that you're messaging is going to be like, it's a high potential.
Yeah, that's your target audience right there.
And especially like independent musicians who, the one thing about it is some of them, or like a lot of them will be like, oh, I don't have the funds for it because they're independent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like they're independent, so they're not tied to a label who has an engineer who's working with them already. So it's like they're free in that sense, which is good, but also some of them can't afford it. So it's like, but yeah, at first it really worked for me. And then I just built relationships with a lot of them and mixed for a lot of them pretty solidly for like a long time. So yeah,
that's really cool. I mean, to be totally honest with you, like I'm still struggling with that, trying to find like the right range of you know, where do I price myself to get enough work, but not where I'm like cheating myself that I'm working way too hard and you know, not knowing my worth.
I think that's like always a struggle. I don't think you'll ever get to a point in life where it's like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. It's always a balance, and you're always gonna have to push and pull and adjust things a little bit. So yeah, don't worry about that. Like we all go through that.
Do you have a fixed rate? Like you don't have to tell us what it is, but like when you're working with these unsigned up and coming artists, is it like, hey, this is what I charge, and then they're like, is there like a bartering thing going on where you're like, oh, I really believe in you, I'm willing to work with you because I think you're special, making exceptions? Not
really. Like I normally have like a fixed rate, but I have different rates based on the number of stems.
Okay.
So I have fixed rates for different stem categories. So like 0 to 10 stems, 11 to 20, 20 plus.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And what I've just started doing recently, I mean, I always used to say the low end to like attract people, but I think a better technique and a better strategy is to always, if people just ask how much is a mix, tell them the high end, tell them the 20 plus stems, because then they'll be like, if they believe in your, like branding has to be done before this, and that's like something we can chat about, but like if the branding is strong enough and the pull is strong enough, like when you tell them the high end price, they're still going to want to work with you and barter you down.
Yes.
And then all you'll say to them is like, well, if you can't afford the high end price, if you want to mix for 10 stems or less, this is what we charge for 10 stems. And then you're still getting paid what you charge for 10 stems or less for that category. And you still gained a client, but you started off at the high end so that they're not bartering you down from your like lowest price.
There's room to work with.
Exactly. There's room to work with. But,
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. But I do have a baseline rate now where it's like, I'm not going to touch anything under a certain price. Like if I'm not making this from it, it's not worth my time. It's more just like a time thing.
It really is, because some of the shit's time consuming, especially when you're getting the badly recorded vocals, and a lot of your mixing time is spent just
trying to figure out,
figuring out what am I going to do with this?
Exactly.
How do I get rid of that helicopter? Like, like what are we going to?
There's a Ferrari in the background. What are we going to do about that?
So I hear you. Those are great ideas. For me though, like working in Logic and Pro Tools, 90+% of the mixing that I'm doing, I'm just getting the whole session. So it's like it's not stems. It's just like, here's my song, here's my session with my vocals, reverbs, delays, all my shit.
Okay.
Just like make it better, take it to the finish line.
Okay.
The way that you know, from the many episodes of Mix with the Masters that I've seen and all the other, you know, big mixing shows, it seems to be like sort of the standard is where like artists will go to a studio, there'll be producers and session artists and songwriters, and there'll be a song, there'll be a session, and then when that's done production, they'll send that session to Jason Joshua or Leslie or, you know, Manny or whoever, any of the big mixers, and they're just sort of opening the session where that team left off.
Yeah.
And that works really well because there's no starting from scratch that way. There's no like, oh, can I get that synth without the stereo widener on it and without the reverb? It's just like, I've got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I have questions about that because I've always like wondered about that too. Because I've had some sessions like just be sent to me as like FLPs, like project files.
Okay.
My issue always with that is like the artist will do something like stuff that's like so weird and like use the randomest plugins, and then it takes me like way more time to actually like get rid of all the bad things they've done and like start again instead of just like starting from scratch and building it up my way. Yep. So like how do you deal with that? Do you ever get projects where it's like, what is going on? Like, what did they do here? And then you have to like, isn't that more time consuming?
Sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes, if the sound right off of the bat is like, I know I'm going to have to undo too many things, then I'll just, like you said, I'll rebuild the vocal chain from the ground up. I haven't run into any issues where, you know, there's the odd time where there's a plugin that I don't have in the session. Yeah. I'll just go and buy that, whatever. But you know, I find that sometimes doing less when the sound is there, the song's close-ish to the finish line, doing less sometimes is actually better. Not redoing the vocal, but just, oh, I need more vocal. Let me just keep their chain completely intact and add like a bit of parallel compression into that. 100% of the time, the session is just them recording over the MP3, like the 2-track.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, I'm going to send it to Max to mix now. I'm sending him the session and the stems. So I have a lot more room in that sense to move instruments around and build the song around the vocal, you know, as opposed to just having to squish it on top of that, like clipped stereo file. But yeah, like I can't really say I haven't run into that myself. What you were describing too much, you know. For me, it's I'm 70% the way there. Help me get to the finish line. Here's the stems for the beat, so I can rework the low end. I can you know make a pocket for the vocal. I'm not it's I have much more flexibility that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. For me personally, like working on my own stuff, because you know I still do make music of my own from time to time. If I'm recording something and the vocal's just not working, or like I did something really weird along the way, I'm at the point now where I can identify that, and I can and as opposed to just fighting it, I'll just strip everything away and be like, I gotta redo this vocal chain.
Yeah.
And then I usually get it in like 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that was what was wrong, type of thing. So yeah, I didn't used to do that. I used to just fight and push and spend way too long like trying to work with the crap, as opposed to just being like, okay, let's step back here. Maybe I just need to rebuild this.
I mean, yeah, when you're just adding plugins on plugins on plugins and it's just getting worse, you know, like it's time to just start
when
over.
You've got 8 plugins on you're maxed out and you're adding more plugins to fix that, that's when you've gone too far.
Exactly.
When you're adding plugins to undo the plugins
that you've
that
added,
are working wrong, that are doing the wrong thing, strip it down. And then I swear to God, like every time I end up using half the amount of plugins, because I'm like, oh, there was just 2 or 3 things that weren't working in sequence, and I get a way better sound with way less, because the order is better, or I'm EQing a lot more before the compression as opposed to the other way around.
Order matters. Yeah, order of plugins definitely matters.
Big
combination matters heavily, and I think a lot of people, maybe not so much on the engineering front, but a lot of artists don't think that order matters. And maybe that's just because when I started, I was like, I didn't know how crucial it was. Like what a big part of the mixing that actually is. Like the order, and I just start moving things around. Like everyone, let's put that second. And I'm like, wait, that sounds different now. What just happened there? No, let's put that back.
Yeah. That's funny. No, it really does.
Yeah.
I remember. Luckily, I learned that early when I was in school. I went to school. I went to Nimbus, but I also went to school in the UK.
Okay.
In London, in 2011.
Nice. Do you live in London?
I lived there for 1 year, which was really cool. I was 20 years old. But in class one day working on a song, and the instructor would like walk through and lean over everyone's shoulder and have a look and poke around and see what we were doing. And he's like, oh, like, what do you, and he caught me like red-handed as I was doing it, like changing the order of things. And he's like, oh, careful, you're putting your EQ before your compressor now. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's going to sound different, mate.
It's going to sound different, mate.
And I was like, come on now.
Come on, Max.
And I learned that early, like right then and there, and then never like made that mistake again. But really, I mean, you know, we're all, most of us, all of us, but like working in a computer nowadays. But what we're working with is, analog emulations, imitations of signal flow, legitimate like signal flow of electronics and circuitry and sound going through equipment. And that's what music used to be. That's how it was started, and definitely matters, you know, when you think about it in that sense, like in the physical analog world, it definitely matters. So, and all the stuff, the tools that we're doing now are imitating that. So we have to respect that, the science there.
What's the word? Just like the baseline truth behind that.
Yeah, totally. The fundamentals.
The fundamentals. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, watch out for your order. Okay. So where were we a minute ago? We were,
I don't know. We were
come on, help me out here.
Chatting about my story, and then college, and then
college. And then I was asking you how you were getting so many clients, and then
we're chatting about
already
clients.
Forgotten that name of the platform on
Slaps.
DistroKid. Slaps.
Yeah.
Shit, I gotta write that down. And then sending sessions to clients versus stems.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I do only stems.
You're only doing stems.
Yeah. Just building everything from the base up, and I ask for like everything dry.
Of course.
Like I don't want vocals with, even if it's just auto tune or EQ compression. Like I don't want any, even if they're dry effects, especially not wet effects like reverb or delay or something. Like sometimes people will send me like a vocal with a reverb on. I was like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like I can't start putting EQs and compressors on this reverbed vocal. I need it dry.
That goes right there, then in their order, right? Because now all of that reverb is being
that's the first thing you
EQ,
learn.
Whatever,
is like all the dry effects first, then the wet effects. It's like the first thing that I learned. It's like so you can't have like reverb before compressors and EQs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I have caught a few people doing it, like in sessions that have been sent to me, where like the delays an insert on the vocal chain as opposed to a send, and like, this song's got a good vibe, I'm not going to touch it, right?
Honestly, sometimes like I've heard that as well, like exactly what you're saying, where like the reverb or delay will be on the chain instead of a send, and it sounds okay. But just in my mind, I'm like, that's wrong. Yes. Put it on a send.
Definitely breaking rules there, but at the end of the day, we're making art.
Yeah.
You know, and if what is sent to you is working and it feels okay, don't undo it just because your engineer nerd brain is telling you to.
I think that's a good point. Like kind of where's the balance between following the rules and like being okay to break them when it sounds good, and not just being so rigid in your thinking that like, oh, I have to follow every rule, or like, because that's going to get the best sound. Like you said, if something sounds better and it's a little unconventional in mixing or recording or anything, just run with it, you know, because at the end of the day, music is a creative process and it's art. So
totally. No, it's about feeling too. Like if you close your eyes, you know, they always Garth Richardson at Nimbus used to say, you know, your engineers, not engine eyes. And so he would always like make us close our eyes when we were working on or like turn the screen off in Pro Tools and just like listen. And I still do that to this day now, man, where I'm like, one of the things I do to shift perspective when I'm mixing, I always have YouTube on. So I'm always watching like some person play video games on silent, just as like a distraction that I can like look at sometimes. But having my session on the screen, then playing the song and just opening up iTunes having something visually different to look at and imagining, okay, my song's playing in iTunes right now. Not looking at my compressor settings, not looking at my EQ, just feeling and hearing the song with a visual perspective different, and shit jumps out to me like so quick.
It
like,
does, yeah.
That's wrong. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling it in that moment as opposed to judging it with my eyes, like 4-to-1 ratio, 8-to-1 ratio, whatever it might be. 12 dB of compress or EQ on something that's working. Who cares?
Yeah, like I'll, export it out and then kind of just close my eyes and put my head on my desk, or like pull up like a visualizer on YouTube, like what you have going right there.
Yeah.
And just and then just listen. And then, like you said, things jump out like the way they wouldn't jump out when you're staring at the project.
Yeah.
Because your brain's so focused on what you're doing with your eyes, looking at your settings and all the different plugins, that you're not really picking that up. But so it's always good like to bounce it out, and also try listen on different devices, and, like in different environments, to see if you can pick anything up.
What are some of your go-to like speakers or other systems?
The iPhone is always beautiful. Always put it on the phone, see how that sounds. Bluetooth earphones, like I have Bluetooth earphones that I test them on. And then test them compared to other songs that I like the mixes of on those things. And then my monitors, I have HS8s.
The Yamahas?
Yeah.
Cool.
What, 10s? 8s?
I used to have the 8s.
Are they the 8s? Yeah. Which are great. So, it's just really that. Yeah. Yeah,
referencing's big. I used to wait until I was done to reference. But I'm not ashamed to say that I reference regularly, like while I'm mixing, because fuck, man, like even within, let's just say within hip hop, you've got like the stuff I just did with an artist named Manco Wilder. There's the record for it right here. Just came out on vinyl, which is
sweet.
Just dirt, like lo-fi samples and like boom bap drums.
Okay.
Right. And then you've got Jack Harlow, which is hip hop, but it could not be more different. Like polished, hi-fi, big low end, bright vocals.
Yeah.
Both hip hop, but I can't compare my mix to that because you've got so much in between that.
And I guess
within the same genre,
stylistically,
right?
It's going for a different thing. That's something we talk about like on the stream, like sometimes because we give feedback on the stream, and a lot of it is like mix feedback. So cool. Like if people send in something that's like, it's just stylized to a particular style. Like they'll like a lot of people that send to the stream, it's like our audience is very like new age, like hyperpop, digicore, like alternative pop, stuff like that. So it's a lot of it's very stylistic in the mixing choices and the mixing decisions.
Right.
And I don't want to tell them to stop doing that because it's adding to the sound and it's adding to that goal that they're going after, like that goal of like this type of sound. So it's like, even though like we were speaking about, like it's going against the rules, wrong. It's like, I'm not going to say that because, and we tell them this on stream too. It's like, there's nothing we can really say to you about this song because everything that we would change is stylistic.
Almost taste at that point.
Exactly, it's taste based. And it's like, we're not going to tell you to change that because it's working. So like we can't give feedback on anything else on the mix because like it's all stylistic. So yeah, I think you have to just know, like, if stuff sounds different to like some songs that you're referencing, think about the style and think about if you are actually going for that style or if like what you're doing is working and it's just in a different lane, different pocket, you know.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, even to like just the level of the lead vocal. I could play you 12 songs right now in the same genre and they're all going to have a really different level of lead vocal, brightness, a level of mid-range, compression, like front to back, all these things. So if you're sitting there comparing, your song to your reference track that may be just tastefully way off the mark from what you're working with, you're never going to get there, like you've got to give yourself the reminder that like that's a taste-based thing. Like I can still be great within the realm of what I'm working with and it doesn't have to sound identical to this reference because that's a taste they went for. That's a style. You know what I mean?
And I think it's hard nowadays, like I mean, sometimes I struggle with this, and I know a lot of other artists do as well in terms of like their own music. It's like when you have such strong influences in a particular genre, like you want to sound like them, and then if you do a reference and then it's like so different, it's like, oh, like it's not really what I was going for. But you have to remember that like you're never gonna sound like them, like you're never gonna be like them.
Yeah,
you're your own person, and like there's just so many different factors that equate to you never being like them. So using them as an influence is great.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that even if you're using them as like a super strong influence on a song or a project or you as a whole, like it's never going to be the same.
Yes.
And you shouldn't want it to be the same either.
Right.
Because then you're just a clone.
Totally. So. Yeah. Different voice. Different microphone preamp, different room, different vocal chain, different
mixing
engineer
styles, different mixing techniques, different stylistic choices, different influences from when you were 5 years old that affect the melodies you write now. It's like there's so many factors that like that are never gonna it's never gonna equate to the same.
Yeah. So the lesson, is don't chase the reference. Like still be yourself.
Leverage it.
Mm-hmm. But it, like try and be. I'm trying to get in the ballpark, right? And a lot of it's like I don't struggle with loudness the way I used to. Like I used to be like, okay, I'm mixing, but my shit's not like commercially loud. That's not the goal anymore. Like I can get loud. It's just more of like a. Just I want to be in the ballpark of like what does hip hop sound like in 2023, right? Like. You've got Lil Baby over here. You've got, West Side Gun over here. You've got Jack Harlow. They've got all like Drake, like super different styles. Moneybagg Yo, my favorite vocal sound right now, by the way.
Do you know
Yeet? Sounds familiar. I don't think I can name any songs though, but I have heard that name.
In terms of like hip hop, I made a video. I just started making like, because I have a website for my mixing, so I just started making like YouTube videos and videos for my website, like about different topics. Okay. I just cover a bunch of different stuff, which I've been loving. But in one of them, I spoke about like the future. I think I did the future of pop music and like where it's going.
Sweet.
But if we're talking about like the future of hip hop music, which I think is something I want to make, like it is becoming like so electronic and like so digital.
Mm-hmm.
Like the EDM and hyperpop influence on like hip hop is becoming so prevalent, especially with that group of people like Yeet. He comes from this collective called Slay World.
Okay.
And it's like Yeet, Can, Summers, and Jace. It sound familiar at all? Yeah, so they're like Yeet's the one that really blew up. Like Can and Summers kind of blew up as well. But it's this like eclectic, like super electronic, futuristic trap, rage beats type of sound.
Wild.
So if you kind of know what Trippie Redd has been doing for like the last couple of years,
I'm a fan of some of that stuff.
So it's kind of like that, but extended into different pockets. So Trippie Redd does like the rage stuff very solidly with like the heavy synths and like like trap drums kind of.
Yeah.
But the way it's gone is like they've taken that and like kind of made different pockets out of it, and this is like what all these artists are filling now. And like in terms of like the underground hip hop scene, that's like, I mean, Yeet is the number one influence on like all the kids nowadays at like making hip hop.
Good to know.
Yeah, like Yeet is like, his influence is ridiculous, and it all comes from that collective that they started, and yeah, so I think that's really where it's going in terms of like the hip hop sound. Obviously, there's always going to be different sounds in hip hop.
Yeah.
Like the Jack Harlow stuff. I really like Jack Harlow too. Yeah. But I think in terms of where the wave is going, it's like right now it seems to be like that Yeet sound. That's like super, and the vocals are very, very like druggy, very like atmospheric, very like I don't know how to explain. You have to listen to it. But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting sound that he's done like super well.
Taste aside, is it done well?
production wise, mixing wise, or just everything?
Yeah, production and mixing wise.
Production wise, yeah. Like the beats are really good. They're very, very, very repetitive. So it's not difficult really to make a rage beat. Like once you know how to do it, because I make like rage beats and like not really plug beats. Like I do some plug and beat stuff, but most of it's like rage or like that type of yeet sound.
Yeah.
And it's like once you know like the fundamentals, you can just like boom, like whip out like 100 of them.
Okay.
Like it's not difficult to do, but it's done really well.
Yeah.
Vocally is where it's debatable. Like I think a lot of them vocally are, it's like kind of like they're half-assing it, you know. It's like,
yeah.
And also just because like, I mean, a lot of them are just like super like, they talk about drugs a lot, but a lot of them are like actually heavily on drugs like all the time. So like when they're recording, they're like so messed up.
Yeah.
Like Can had a song where he had like, the song was like 2 minutes long. He rapped for like a minute, and then the beat just played for a minute.
And he like forgot he was still there.
Forgot, he was just like, yeah, put that up. So they like really don't care. And it's like stuff like that where it's like, but I think that's like the authenticity thing we're talking about. Like people kind of like it when there's mistakes nowadays, because it's like, oh, he's human too, or like not mistakes, but like stuff like that. So there's definitely, you know, the vocals are a little bit debatable, whether it's like done well stylistically, but the production and the engineering, especially on Yeet stuff, is like, done really well. Yeah.
I could be honest, like I've definitely struggled in the last year or so with what I thought was A-level stuff, just really disappointing me, like mixing wise.
Hip-hop wise?
Yeah. Just stuff that I'm like I can hear them de-essing it too much, and I don't know, man. It's just like, it just sounds wrong. It just sounds like that's a A-level artist that recorded on a Sony 800, and like that's the end result.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation a few times, asked a few different friends and peers, you know, are you hearing that in other genres? Are you know, when you're going through the charts in the playlists, are you hearing stuff where you're just like, whoo, like my friends and I could have done better than that. And just feeling like this person's getting millions of streams, and that like that got through them, that got through their manager, that got through the A&R, that got through all these levels, and they said, put it out, you know?
I think there's something to that when it's like an A-level artist, that I think a lot of people around them get blinded by the fact that they're an A-level artist and that they're so good. And it's like, it's understandable that like the A&R and the managers and stuff don't pick up on it because they're not engineers.
True.
So it's easier for that to slip past their view. But I think even sometimes on the engineers front, it's like they get so caught up in the fact that they're mixing for Jack Harlow or I see Rick Ross over there, Lil Baby. Yeah. Like they get so caught up in the fact that they just put the vocal on. They're like, wow, this sounds crazy. This is Lil Baby. Yeah. And it's like they don't actually strip the identity of the artist from the mix and actually just look like at the mix, like the fundamentals. Like, is this working? Is this not working?
No, that's a really interesting point. I hadn't considered that, getting caught up in
the lights,
the wow factor of, you know.
Yeah. Wow. And I think it's, like I said, it's easy for everyone around you, speaking from the mix engineer's perspective, super easy for all of them to forget about that.
Totally.
But I think even sometimes it gets to the engineer where it's like, you know, doesn't pick up on it because this is a Lil Baby, you know.
Yeah. No, that's a unique perspective I haven't heard of, so I'm gonna remember that, because
Sweet,
it's definitely, you know, I can't say I have worked with any high level artists, but I can get it, right? Like you're trying to think of a comparison, but like anything that's things that come with a reputation, things where like a name precedes it, things where could be like a wine or a food or a car or something that's just like known, that has a name that carries so much weight, and like this has to be good by default, right?
Exactly. So it's like, think if you have a nice wine, you take a sip of it, you're like, this tastes good. Or it could be bad.
You're buying the best bottle on the menu, and in your mind you're just like, it's good. Yeah, it's got to be the best one.
Placebo. It's like placebo. It's valued super high, so like you think it's going to taste good, and because thought energy radiates, because you think it's going to taste good, it tastes better to you. So when you taste it, it's like, wow, this is really good wine. Same thing if you have a little baby in the studio, super prolific. You think he's going to be super good. You think the mix is just going to be insane.
Yeah.
Laser stuff on, you do a little tweaking. Whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Better than it actually is. But it's just because you've built this all up.
I think
in
you
your mind.
nailed it with that. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Let's talk about your music for a little bit. We've gone and talked about engineering and a lot of really fun things, but that's why you're here today.
Let's dive into my stuff.
To dive into your stuff. So when did you start releasing music officially?
Yeah, sure. So I my first song ever was, I think it was just after I turned 17. I think I released my first song. It's called Grand Prix. It was so bad. But, we've all been there.
I know the feeling. I'm not laughing at you, obviously. I'm laughing with you.
Yeah. You know the feeling. It was terrible. Obviously, at the time, I loved it. And that was obviously, I guess, 4 years ago now.
Okay.
Which is pretty crazy to think about. But yeah, I released that first and then just followed with a bunch more singles. And I did my first album, which I got tattooed on my arm. Bloom.
Sick.
Yeah. Very trash album as well. But I like the message, so I like the tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just like a 7-song thing, and yeah, I've always been pretty consistent with it, I would say. Like I always, especially now, I want to release like a song a month at least. Because that's only 12 songs a year if you're not doing a project or something, so it's not that much.
Yeah, it's not. If you're, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're efficient with your time, and you got your formula, 365 days. Put out 12 songs.
You can do 12 songs. So, and now I have like a lot of people that help me or like super down to help me anytime I need. Like, if I'm just not like feeling in the mood to like do drums and percussion or like produce a song out, I just hit someone up and be like, yo, do you want to help me do this? And then they'll be glad to help me and stuff. Yeah. So it's nice to be in a position now where like I have people that if I want their help, it's like I have them, my friends that can help me, But yeah, so I've been, I guess doing it for like, make my own music for like 5 years, 6 years. Yeah. And
couple of many singles, 2 EPs that I was able to find.
Yeah, 2 EPs. Yeah.
And
one
full-length project on the way, or is that something that you're gonna like eventually, like a like a 16 song, like an album, like a first album 16, type of thing?
I don't know about that. I know I did like I'm so like just like new age with it, like 7 songs, that's an album. That's enough.
Well, things are different now, man. I mean, for sure, there's no.
But I've released 2 albums. One I just removed off platforms because it was bad. That was 10 songs, and I guess I removed the other one too, and that was 7 songs. So I've done 2 albums, but both gone now.
Okay.
And then the EPs. I do want to do a project, like a proper project.
Yeah.
Just always get so in my head about it and like how I want to do it, and because especially my music, like it's becoming super. I mean, it always has been, but it's becoming like more and more personal every single time I make a song, and more authentic, and it's like, and also just more and more purposeful. Like I want my music to serve a purpose. I don't just want to be making a song. Like I want it to serve me as well as potentially other people. So if I do a project, that holds a lot of weight to it, It's like, that's a big thing that I want to be able to serve a purpose to myself with, which is a bit easier, but to other people as well, which is a little more complex to get my head around that. So when I do a project, I don't know, I feel like I just got to go traveling again, or go to the woods for like a month and just like take a couple of people with me and just make an album. I want it to be something like that. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm just making another song in my studio, like, and that can be the intro, and then that song from 5 months ago, I'll put that on track 5. I don't just want it to be like songs thrown together. I want there to be a story, like back to front.
Nice. Like a purpose, like you were saying.
Exactly.
And a meaning behind it, and that they all sound like they belong together, as opposed to just shit I dug up on my hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna smack it together. That's the album. So So I think.
Cool. I like that.
That's something I've like been thinking about. I definitely want to do. It's just like thinking about what that big purpose is going to be, because a lot of the stuff I listen to is, especially this one artist Breakins, who's like a huge inspiration to me. Like his stuff is very, like his last album made me so sad for like, I don't know, like how long. Well, it wasn't that long, a couple of days a week, but it's just because like
it was relatable.
It's so raw and it's so like, and the stuff he's saying, he's talking about like, he brings in like some political stuff, some social stuff, he just brings stuff from everyday life, and it's not just like, oh, my feelings.
Yeah.
But he meshes that in with that so well, and it's like, and it just makes it so relatable, and it's just like, wow, this is music, you know.
Nice.
So it's like,
yes.
I just want something like that if I do a project. So.
Do you read much?
Yeah, I've been reading more now. I used to read in school because they made us read. And and I didn't like that. So
Fair
then
enough.
and also when I was young, my parents made me read like every night before I went to bed. So I think then for many years I was like, fuck this, I'm not reading. I don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
But now I'm like getting back into it for me. So that's like really nice to be doing that. So yeah, I've read like, most of the stuff I read is like, it's not like stories or stuff. It's like I just read Atomic Habits. I don't know if you know that book.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
By James Clear. And right now I'm reading Reality Transurfing, which is like pretty intense, about like shifting your reality based on your thoughts and things like that. So I'm into those type of books.
Definitely. Yeah, reading is when I think back, for me, the reason I ask is when I think about back when I was the most inspired writing lyrics and just being in the studio the most was when I was reading books. I went through a phase of like Eastern philosophy and like, you know, reading about Buddhist monks, and I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I read like, you know, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I went on that like new age spiritual thing, and that inspired 2 or 3 albums, you know, of like, you know, probably 30 plus songs. I was still living in the same city, hanging around the same friends, doing the same shit, working at Home Depot, but my brain was outside of myself.
Yeah.
Considering new things, and it just brought all these ideas into my head and gave me a lot of fuel to write. You know, it was great.
Yeah, it's very powerful in that way. And not just reading, but just philosophy and psychology and those topics as a whole are just very powerful on creatives, I think. And in terms of impacting your art, it's definitely been for me. So yeah, I hear you on that.
Cool. So where were we a second ago before books? I keep losing my train of thought. We were talking, okay, so with your music, releasing your singles.
And then we were just talking about projects and like how I want to do an album and stuff.
Yeah, so right now, or last year, 2022, you put out how many singles? Like at least 10, I feel like.
I have no idea.
It was a huge year for you, right?
Something like that. And
a couple
EP.
and an EP. And a couple of videos.
Yeah, we did quite a couple of videos last year, probably like 4, 5, 6.
Where did you film Texas?
We filmed that in Kamloops.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That was whoever scouted that like the
that
rocks
location,
that was dope.
That was awesome.
I
I
really
love
liked that.
I love the drone shots. The drone shots and that are super cool. We did that and I can't, what's it called? Adrian's gonna get mad at me. I forget the name. Something Creek in Kamloops.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a super cool spot to film. The waterfall is super dope. And yeah, we've shot, me and him, we've shot so many videos together over the last like 2 years. But we really want to go to LA together soon. We have because I have a song with an artist from there. So we want to go out there and film something there together. I think that'd be dope. Yeah.
Adrian is your...
he's my good friend.
He's your videographer. I've seen his name on your...
yeah, he goes by Falk Films.
Okay.
Yeah. So he does a lot of stuff for, me and then like a lot of other artists in Vancouver. Dope. And there's no one really in Kamloops. But yeah, a lot of the people in Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah, love your work.
Yeah, shout out him. His stuff's really good.
Looks really good. Editing and the drone shots. There was one of your more recent ones where you were downtown.
Zombie.
Yeah. And then going under the bridge, and then you're back sitting on the park bench and on Burrard. Visual, love that visual aesthetic on that video, and at night. And
oh wait, there wasn't a drone one in Zombie.
Maybe I'm mixing up two videos.
Yeah, you're mixing two, because we filmed Zombie downtown. Like that was recently. The one with the bridge was in Kamloops. That was Think of You, and there's a drone like going under the bridge. Yeah.
No, my mistake.
No, all good. Yeah, that was a fun one too.
Very cool. I've just been like consuming all your content the last couple days, so they're all in my brain. But they look really, really good, dude. And
so I like doing the video. I was just spending a lot of money on them, so I was like, so now I'm kind of chilling on them. I'm not like focusing on the videos as much as I am on the music. It was nice for a while because I had like a deal with SoundCloud where they would like fund the videos for me.
Sweet.
So they'd pay for like all the videos, and that was obviously better because I didn't have to spend money on them. But when it's just coming out of your pocket, it's like quite a lot per video. It's like,
was that a grant that you worked up?
It was like this deal that we had. It was like 5 artists. It was like me, one dude from London, and then like a couple from States. And it was like a spotlight type of thing where they'd just like promote us and like push us and like fund us. And I got it through like my old manager who I met on Slaps.
There it is again.
There it is. Slaps. Who he lives in LA. That's who I went to go visit, him and someone else in LA last year or 2 years ago. But I got it through him, and he set it all up, and they funded the videos, and it was cool for a while, but there wasn't a lot of structure to it, and it kind of just, it was one of those deals that kind of just fizzled out, and I don't think they were really prioritizing it, but it was nice for the time, and it was great for the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, now I'm just kind of chilling on the videos, focusing on the music.
Nice.
Doing some with Adrian, when he's in town and things like that. But yeah.
Cool. Well, it's good to have those in your catalog anyhow.
Yeah, for sure.
Those will last a long time.
Exactly.
I think you'll be, we are all ashamed or not proud of stuff we did early in our career, but then there are things that once you reach a certain threshold, you're like, that's kind of like me forever now.
So
like,
you're so right with that, yeah. And I think a lot of those videos that we filmed this last year, 2022, reached that threshold where I'll look back in 5-10 years and I'm back, that was solid.
I'm still happy with that.
Yeah, I'm still happy with that. Even though it's like I might be a lot better now. It's like I don't look back and be like, oh, I look back and I'm like, for the time period, like that was really dope.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah,
that's cool that you feel that way. I think that's important because I was criticizing artists in general on one of the recent podcasts for like constantly scrapping old projects, and I get that, but there's definitely a point where it's like you got to just leave shit out there and just be like, look, this is me, this is my growth, this is my journey, my evolution. Yeah,
for sure. And it's definitely reached that threshold, but it takes time to get there.
It does.
Takes some years.
It does take some time, and not everybody is gonna make Illmatic when they're 19, 18 years old, like Nas did, or whoever, Bob Dylan, and like very, very young, making classic albums.
Which is hard, especially nowadays, because you see so many artists that are so young popping, like Kid Laroi and like Eric Doe and stuff. Like Glaive was like 15 when he blew up, and it's
not
just
even
like
drinking age yet.
Yeah, you can't even drive. It's like, it's just crazy to think of, like, and I think early on that was a big struggle for me. Like, I felt a lot of pressure also because, and it was stupid because I started when I was 16, 17, then I was like 18 when I was like a year into it, and I was like, damn, I'm getting left behind by these like 16-year-old kids, and I was, because I was so young, and I'm still so young, I'm 21, and I've definitely, my thinking on that is completely done a 180. Like now I know that I'm like ridiculously young, I'm gonna live so long, but it's like, it's just funny because when I was like 17, 18, I was like, oh, I'm getting older, and I just started getting like so much anxiety from like every day going by is one day closer to the next year of my life, and it's like, so that's something I struggled with in the beginning, just seeing all these like super young artists get super successful, but then it's like, it's just, you can't really think like that because you don't know what they go through, and also to blow up when you're so young is like, it's fun, but it's also like this, there must be so much shit that goes along with that. I
think about those stories often, and should we aspire to be that way, or should we aspire to work really hard on a craft for many, many years and develop skills, and then watch the fruit of our labor like come to fruition.
Exactly.
We shouldn't expect to be winning the lottery that way and just popping on SoundCloud. Like,
it is really like winning the lottery, yeah.
You know, because I don't know, like I could be totally off here, but a lot of for me anyhow, I view a lot of that stuff as just like flavor of the month type shit, you know, where it's like that person's viral for like 6 days and then there's going to be another one.
Yeah.
And like how are they going to follow that up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that might have just been a fluke. It might not, but it might have just been sort of like we got lucky and this went viral and as opposed to, you know, working for 20 plus years and just having your rock solid foundation, you know.
Yeah. I think why it's like kind of glamorized to blow up like that is because it's just such a rush of dopamine. Like if you're like 17 years old and you just like blow up and now all of a sudden everyone loves you. Yeah. You get any girl you want, you go any place you want at 17. That fulfills like your ego and that your dopaminergic centers in your body just like a different level to where you're just like, oh my like god,
invincible.
Literally, you know? It's like you're becoming invincible. So it's like that's just kind of why it's kind of like, oh my god, this would be so cool to have. But in reality, it's because it's such an intense feeling. It's can also sway the other direction super intensely, and it's like very volatile. It's not I wouldn't say it's a safe place to be, or like, and it's not that you have to aim for a safe place, but it's just a very volatile situation to be in when you're that young with that much access to that much around you, and like you can have whatever you want.
Yeah,
I think it would be very challenging to be happy and healthy, and yeah, I think it would be difficult.
Well, because eventually you have a song called Ego Death, but there's eventually like that is taken away from you, and it makes me think about like you know, retired boxers or professional athletes that identify as, I'm this famous super athlete that people love. That's who I am. That's my character. That's me. The ego. And then when they're retired and they stop playing, they don't know who they are anymore, and then they continue playing way past their prime, or they do the Tom Brady thing or the BJ Penn thing and MMA. There's many examples where it's just like you're at that high point, that's all you know. And then it's gone. Obviously, in that example, those people have worked decades to get to where they're at, but the point I'm trying to make is still like, which is hard losing that identity. Still, like, who are you beyond that character?
I think everything's just phases, but it's difficult when you're in a phase like you explained, and when you excel so intensely in that phase of your life. And because if you're like a professional athlete and you've excelled ridiculously from the age of like 18 to 36 or 40, like a 20-year time frame, you've done incredibly well. The tie that you have to that phase of your life is going to be super intense. It's going to be way harder to let that go and like move on to the next phase. As if you didn't have such a good 20 years. Like if you just were kind of mediocre at something for 20 years, just worked the same job, whatever, you can move on easily because you don't have such a tie to that. But and that's the struggle you see with like super successful people in a career where it's like time frame based. It's not something you can do forever, like sports. They struggle so much to move on because like that's, like you said, that's who they are now, because it's so intense and it's such an intense feeling. But everything is just phases, and like even if it's just 20 years, like most people now are going to live to like over 100, so it's like 20 years out of 100 is only a fifth of your life, so you still have 4/5 of a life.
You could reinvent yourself
to have different phases.
Start a whole new career, go back to college.
Exactly.
Be a biologist. Like you could literally redo your life. But
it's that fear of like, oh, nothing's going to be as good as that 20 years. You know,
for sure.
Which I understand, but it's just
it's tough. Can't say that I know what it's like, so here we are just like armchair quarterbacking it, but it's interesting to analyze anyhow, because it's definitely like you see a lot of it. How do you go about your writing lyrics? Is it idea for song, write some lyrics, make a beat around it, or is it sifting through your beat catalog? Oh, I'm feeling this right now, let me sit down, write my verse, or does it change?
Right, yeah, it changes sometimes. Most of the time what it'll be is a guitar loop. I'll just whip in a guitar loop and most of the time it starts from just a feeling. It's not like I have specific lyrics. It's just I have a feeling, or I have something specifically I want to write about.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it starts. Then I'll just start writing over the loop. But sometimes it'll start where like, yeah, I have, like sometimes I'll write lines first, but it's very rare that I actually like write lines before I have any production behind it, like whether that's a loop or a beat or anything.
Yeah.
So it often mostly just starts with the production.
Yeah, even just so it's either just a sample or something like to feel.
Mostly just a guitar sample. Yeah.
And then it builds. And are you making all your own beats? Like most of your production is from?
Yeah, most of my stuff, especially all the stuff that I have out, is like, most of it's like 100% me. Sometimes I get a little help, or like I'll use a loop, like a guitar loop, because I don't play guitar.
Oh, you did say you had people now where you're collaborating with,
so
that
now
are maybe doing drums for you or something like that.
Yeah, so now I have like mostly, shout out Linga, my homie Linga. He's crazy at production. We'll hop on Discord and we'll like just flesh something out.
Nice.
So I'll have like like the other day we did that, and we had like a song that was just a guitar loop for the whole song, and all my vocals, but I had like final vocals done because they were solid. And I just said to him like, yeah, you think you can add anything to this? And he like added like this crazy like atmospheric drum section here, and then like percussion sounds and some strings and everything. Like went totally crazy with it. So it's nice to be able to have him. And so we've been doing a lot of stuff together,
sweet,
production wise.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just get a beat from like BeatStars. Like if I'm not in the mood to do something, I'll go into BeatStars and I'll get like a hyperpop beat. Like I'll get a Durcep, like we'll just say some popular hyperpop producer beats, and I'll use those. But most of the time I like producing things myself.
And when you're going online to buy a beat, will you eventually add to it also beyond like what comes with it?
Yeah, so I released my song Autonomy. Was produced by Durcep. Shout out him. We had him on the stream the other day. It was dope. But he just had the beat and I took it, and then I didn't add much to it. I just chopped it up in a couple places, moved things around, and I added like didn't really add to it, but I added like this vocal layer that sounded like a synth. So I guess it's kind of adding to it vocally. Yeah. But I don't normally like go in and add anything production wise. Most of the time I'm like pretty happy with the beats.
Sure. Yeah, because it was interesting when I was this was kind of the first time I'd ever really seen this, and it was when I was working with Jamon quite a bit. We did his It Won't Be Like This Forever EP, which I mixed and mastered with him. Shout out to Jamon. And he had, a really good palette of sounds and beats that he had sourced out, and obviously we had the stems for those, and we get the song sounding really good, and then it was like, okay, well, now we're sending it to AK, and then we're sending it to Dino, and we were getting some synth layers, some more guitar textures, and it always worked. It always enhanced the song, but I was getting the impression that for him it almost felt like that was a necessary step. Okay. It wasn't like, I can't just have this stock beat from the internet. Like right. I've got to produce this. We've got to add to it. And
I guess, but when you think about it, it's like, it's just someone making a beat like you would make a beat, It's not like from the internet. It's not like it didn't just drop down out of nowhere. Like someone made it.
Someone very talented and creative made that already. So it's for sure.
But I get what he's saying in terms of like that. Like it feels a little bit inauthentic to just grab a beat and put vocals on it and then just like leave it. But that's why I only like using beats like from people that either I know or they have like a big pull in the community that I'm a part of.
Nice.
Because then it feels a little more like authentic, and the connection between me and that beat and the producer feels more real. So I feel like there's more substance to it,
totally,
which allows the song to be better. So, but it's like you're saying, if you just grab a random beat from like some producer you have never heard of, you just like the drums on the hook, like you're probably gonna want to add to it because because you don't have enough investment in it, and that's really what it is.
Yeah, to make it more your own almost.
Exactly,
Yeah, no, it was interesting, and it's absolutely not a critique at all. It was just a first time I had really considered that, and he was so thorough, and he's such a hardworking artist. Like, he just likes to oversee every little step and just he puts 110% into everything. So it was always like, this was sounding awesome, but it's like, nope, now we're getting, we're sending it to, XYZ, and then I'd get more stems back, and then I'd have to fit those into the mix that we already had. But they all turned out really good.
It seems like he drops quite a lot as well, from what I see. It's like he tends to be pretty frequent with the releases.
That kid has like thousands of songs. I mean, he spoke about it on the podcast, but there's like, he could put out an album a month.
He does such different stuff though. Like, he always surprises me, because I've like known about him for probably since I moved here, because of like 2-Track and Boslin and stuff like that. But he's had so many phases, because I remember it used to be like kind of trap, and then he had this pop phase where he was doing like pop stuff, and I thought that was super cool. And then now he's kind of on like the rage phase, where it's like super electronic, like the Eat type of sound type of thing. So he's always switching it up. Like, he never sticks into like in one lane or anything like that, which I thought is pretty interesting.
It's remarkable that he's done each of those styles so,
and he does them all really well.
Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm trying this out. It's like, I am now doing this style.
Yeah. But the fact that he can jump from style to style and it feels so like he's so invested in it is 100%. Like crazy. Like,
no, it's really remarkable.
Yeah, because normally you see those switches like a little more subtly. Like, someone will start off as a rapper, and then they'll like kind of veer it towards pop a little more over like 2 or 3 years time frame. But it just feels like he'll just drop something that's like totally left field from what he dropped like a month ago. Rebranding, and it's like, whoa, like, how did you even think of that?
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what he does next.
I have no idea what he does next.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see where he goes next. How often are you rewriting lyrics, or is it, maybe that's just my like hip hop brain thinking of rappers, wanting to like change a bar, because I see that a lot, especially with people that I record or work with. They like come back and re-record a verse, or I need to change this line. Is that something that happens in your genre with your style, or not at all?
Yeah. It's often just for phrasing purposes. So like, the idea of the line will be there, but I'll change like a word or two to make it smoother, or like to make it sound better.
Right.
Like, I'll change but to and, or something, like, just like a lot of it's just small stuff like that to make things work better. But sometimes I do just write like filler lines when I'm doing a demo, and then I go back in and actually make it something that's like true, because that's something I've been focusing on in my music, is like, especially for this year, like, I don't want to say a line if it's not real and it's not true. Like, I don't just want to say something just because it's cool or it sounds cool, or like, I want every single thing I say to be cool and authentic. I mean, not cool, sorry, to be authentic and real, and like have meaning to me. So that's like a big thing. So yeah, sometimes I write filler lines. Like, if it's like most of my songs are like sappy, crying about my ex songs, so I'll put some bullshit line in there, and then I'll go back in and actually make it like something real about that. Because I don't want to have just like filler lines. I think I just think I'm past that now, where it's like everything has to be real that I'm doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you mistakenly used the word cool there, but that explanation is what cool is.
Yeah, me too.
Authentic and
thank
with
you.
all the things you explained, turns into that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you struggle at all re-recording vocals on a different day and trying to match the tone of what you had in the original take?
I used to, I used to struggle a lot with that. But now not so much, because a lot of the time now is I don't focus. So I do my demos mostly just at my desk with the Audio-Technica mic. So I don't focus that hard on like making sure it sounds really good, because I know it's just a demo. Like, I used to write songs where it's like I didn't know if I was doing a demo or not, or like maybe I'd use this as the final vocal because I'd be happy with this. Now every single time I write a song, I do the entire song as a demo first, and then I go back and record the entire song again. So I know that if I'm doing my demo, I know that everything I'm doing is going to be recorded. So I don't focus too hard on making it sound like super good, or if it's a little pitchy here, whatever. I don't care, because I know it's just a placeholder. So that helps, because then when I go and do the whole song, it's all in one day, but I have everything there to reference, so it doesn't take me that long, because I'm not thinking of lyrics or thinking of melodies. Everything's there and I'm just copying it.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Doing it seems like more work that way, but I promise you, it's people listening, it's probably not, because there's way too many times when I've been mid-mix and someone wants to re-record a verse or change the hook or re-record half the verse with different lyrics, and I'm like, you guys are not ready to mix yet.
Yeah.
You probably should have done the demo or had a songwriting session, or, you know, sat on this a little longer and produced it, fleshed it out, rewrote things, tried it out. I think that's so clever, so smart that you're doing that.
Thanks, man.
You're the only person so far that has mentioned that they do that.
Oh, really?
That's like high level industry, big budget label shit that you're doing.
You think?
It is. No, I know it is. No like independent artist thinks that way that I've met yet. Maybe they do, and I apologize if they haven't brought it up. But nobody that I've met is doing that, and that's fucking brilliant. So thanks, man, take your time with the writing process, flesh everything out, rework it, try it, twist it, bend it, and do your demo, and then all the pressure's off, right, as well, because you're still in that mode of like, I'm creating this still. This is like, there's no pressure for me to nail my take on the mic. This is my demo. Let's just, you know, obviously you want to get your melodies and things right, but it's not like,
I want to get the melody right and stuff, but if it's like I said, if it's like a little pitchy in a certain area, or I held the note for a little too long than I should have, like, that's just stuff I'll remember, and then I'll just change it in the final. But it's like, it doesn't impact the demo. The point of the demo, and I at the beginning I was like, I don't want to do demos because it's like so time consuming. It's going to take me way longer, like you said, but it actually ends up being way smoother of a process.
Yes.
I don't get as frustrated with myself, and things just get done better and quicker. So
pressure's gone. Having to figure your shit out on the mic, which happens a lot. People are still, I don't know if you record with your lyrics on your phone, but a lot of people are still, I see it a lot with the limited amount of recording that I'm still doing these days, because I said I was, I'm mostly mixing now, but when I am recording, I'm still seeing a lot of people like working their shit out.
Is this still recording? Is that
yeah.
Oh, this is just my screensaver. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're good. That are still in demo mode almost, or in song creation mode, or still in like, I'm working this shit out mode on paid studio time.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that, because especially when you're paying for studio time, bro. Like, you want to just get in there, get it done. But that's also why I just like doing stuff myself, because it's like, in terms of recording, it's like, I don't want to pay someone to go to their studio, and then it's like, I'm feeling anxious about the fact that I need to get it done in 2 hours because I've only paid for 2 hours, you know? That's one thing I like about doing it myself. But I totally get that. Like, if you're going to go to studios and stuff, like, make sure that you have things done, like the demo done, and you're prepared for the session to go in and just lay down good takes.
Yeah,
like, you don't want to be writing.
Have your blueprint, have your idea ready to go when you're when I know I'm going to the studio today, I've got a clear vision.
Exactly.
How about that word of what I'm doing today? Yeah, instead of like working it out.
Yeah.
Trying this move. No. Skateboard competitions today. You practice your fucking kickflip.
You're supposed to know this kickflip 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah. Cameras are on. Cool. Well, that's really good to hear that. I love that. It's so so efficient, man.
Yeah. So the demos is a big one for artists, especially if you're recording yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously you've got your studio at home, but that's another big thing. Yeah. But to have even Best Buy or London Drugs, get yourself a $95 USB mic, plug it into your laptop, and practice recording yourself at home, practice your demos, feel your song out. I'm not saying you, I'm saying
before you go to the studio.
Yeah. I mean, goddamn, I've said that 1,000,001 times now.
Yeah.
But to hear someone already doing it, already understanding the value of that, it just warms my heart.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah, you want to know what you sound like before you go to the studio.
Yes, know what you sound
and
like.
And obviously it's going to sound a little different because of the chain and all the plugins or whatever, but you want a general idea of how it sounds to be on the mic and how that's going to transfer to the headphones and how you are when you hear yourself recording while you're going. Like, you need to know these things before you just hop in and like start recording.
Yeah, because you can rap in the car all day long.
It's not going to sound anywhere like when you're in the studio.
Or in the shower or wherever, but it's once you're on the mic, you have the feedback, that 1 millisecond delay in your headphone, and then you hear it back and you're like, fuck, that's what my flow is like?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I sounded like at home.
Yeah.
You know, anyhow, I'm done with that topic, so thank you. I don't want to go on and on, but it's definitely been, far too frequent of a thing I've had to deal with.
Yeah, I feel that.
So what's next? What's next for Get Together that you feel comfortable sharing with us on the show, like in the near future?
Yeah, for my music?
Yeah.
I don't have like I said, a plan for a project. Like I said, I want to do it, but I want it to be big. I want it to be special. So maybe I'll start planning something like for a little trip to do an album or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just, like I said, this year I've just been trying to focus on being more authentic in my music and just being more me. I don't know. I know it's vague to say, but it's like I just want more authenticity in my music, and so there's nothing really I'm focusing on besides that. And I just want my story to be told in like the best possible way. And that's why people always ask me this, but like I never get features. Well, like I very rarely get features, and it's just because my stuff is so personal and becoming so much more authentic that it's like I don't feel like someone else could do better than I could on my own song about my own life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like very difficult for me to want to get someone on a song when it just doesn't feel like they could tell my story better than I can tell my story. Because every song I make now is my story. I'm never just making a song that's hype for the club. Like I don't make that type of music anymore.
Yep.
I used to be like that. And nothing against that. If that's the type of music you make, that's cool. But just this journey I'm on, I'm very into psychology and like I'm not spiritual and like the sense normal people might think, but there's a lot of spirituality to me, I think. And so the journey I'm going down is just like very personal and very authentic, and just getting other people getting other people on songs like that just doesn't feel right, because I feel like the energy will be off.
Wow.
And even if they speak about the same topic I'm speaking about, I just don't feel like it's the same. So mostly it'll just be me. You might see some I do have one feature with a dope artist from LA, like I said.
Yep.
That'll be releasing soon. We've just been waiting to probably do the trip to do the video before we release it.
Okay.
But even now it's like I really like him, and he's quite big in the scene, but it's like a part of me doesn't even want to release it because it's like it just doesn't feel like as me as I can get. You know, but that's when I think, you know, you're doing something right, when it's like you don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Like you just care about telling your story and like being authentic. So that's all I'm really focusing on. That's all I can really say like is in store for the future.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
Yeah.
That's what is the name of your website?
It's getyourmusictogether.com.
Cool. Like that.
Yeah. GYMT for short.
Okay.
So we have like an Instagram for that as well.
And that's where people who are looking for a mix can also reach out to you?
Yeah. So there's mixing on there, production, as well as ghostwriting. But what I'm mainly focusing on is like, the mixing and production.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I have a question about your Instagram, and if I'm very confused here, I'll be embarrassed, but you have to enlighten me. Now you have I am Get Together.
Yeah.
Is your account, but there was also another account simultaneously going on. which was Who Is Get Together. Now those are both you.
Yeah.
Okay, they are.
Yeah.
Now tell me the story about that.
Yeah, so the I'm Get Together one, well, I guess I had kind of, the I'm Get Together one is me. That's for my music.
Okay.
That's as personal as it gets. So like that's where I'll like follow people or speak to people, are normally when it's like personal matters or stuff about my music. That's why I share my music. That's me. The Who Is Get Together one is my business stuff.
Okay.
So that's more the mixing. That's why I post all my mixing stuff, all the beats I'm making.
Okay.
And I just like to have two separate ones because I don't know like where to post. Because I feel like they're very different. A lot of the mixing I do and the production, like production-wise, I do like rage beats and plug and like hip-hop. Same with mixing. I do some like a decent amount of pop stuff too, but most of it's hip-hop. And then my own music is very alternative pop, like futuristic hyperpop type stuff. So it's like they're very different. So I wanted two different sectors, you know, to just kind of to break that up a little bit, because otherwise it gets a little cloudy. So yeah, those are the two, and then I post everything to do with my business on the Who Is one, as well as just photos and stuff. Yeah, because you want a good image, obviously, to attract new people into your circle. And then yeah, the I Am one now is just strictly my music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and is it fair to say that one's the more like up to date if people want to, you know, for
my music? Yeah.
For news about anything new that you're doing, that's
where
we're gonna find it.
I mean, I post on both of them every single day normally. So on stories, and I try to post a lot on both as well. I probably post a little bit more on the Who Is Get Together one right now, feed post, but I'm super active on both. But yeah, if you want to know about like my music and stuff, the I Am Get Together one's where to be. Yeah. Okay,
and then there's also content on YouTube, a few videos. Let people know where they can find that.
Yeah, sure. So that's GYMT. So it's just GYMT on YouTube.
Okay.
And the Instagram is GYMT. And we have like a GYMT Spotlight page as well, which is a different YouTube account, which is run by like someone that's involved with the company, and they post like our favorite songs every single week. So I think we post like 2 songs a week. And yeah, we take submissions for that. And it's pretty much based on like pop, hyper pop, alt pop, rock pop, stuff like that. So if anyone has those type of songs and you want your song posted, you can send it to the Instagram or the YouTube, and yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Busy man. We didn't even mention the Twitch stream even.
Yeah. Twitch stream as well. That's the Bounce Test. It's at the Bounce. The Bounce Test or Bounce Test on Twitch. Not sure.
And get your mix reviewed.
Bounce Test on Instagram. Yeah, get your mix and your song reviewed by us.
Awesome.
We're live
idea.
3 times a week, so you'll see us there. Yeah.
Dude, this has been super fun.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
This flew by. I feel like we've just been like in the zone this whole time. It's been so fun.
Yeah.
I learned so much today. Thank you for taking the time to be here, to share your story with us, to be so open and honest. I really, really appreciate it. It's been cool.
Yeah, no, it has been, man. It's like I think the first podcast I've been on in person, so
great.
Super dope to do.
We'll have to do this again, maybe, 6 months, 1 year, and catch up, see what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd be super down.
Hopefully my camera will be a little straighter next time. By then we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully we look good today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this. I sure did.
Yeah, me too.
Get Together, Max DeShaw on Demo to Limo. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget we're on YouTube now. As you can see, if you're watching the video right now, we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are available. And go check us out. Go down, check out the library going back to 2018. We are at episode 53 now, 52, 53. So lots of really fun stuff. Go support your Vancouver artists and, learn their stories. Yep. Thank you guys again. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Sweet.